What it do, YouTube? As you guys know, Stellar Blade 2 has recently been announced, and I can't tell you just how excited I am because I was a huge fan of the first game, and for more reason than one, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, boy.
But before we get into today's video, my name is Isaac. If you could drop a like, sub to the channel, that would be fantastic. At Summer Gamers Fest, some people were fortunate enough to speak to the CEO himself, and they got to ask him a couple of baller questions, and that's what I'm here to discuss with you guys today. You chose the subtitled Bloodrain instead of Stellar Blade 2. Is there a reason for that? And they could have called the game Hot Dogs on Wheels, and I still would have bought it. This game has a very clear narrative connection to the previous title. Naturally, there are parts where you can see what happens to the character from the first game. However, rather than presenting it solely as a direct sequel, we are crafting it as a complete story in its own right, so that players encountering the series for the first time through Bloodrain can enjoy it without needing to know the predecessor, while still deepening the overall narrative. I can't say much right now, but once you finish the game, you'll find that not only is it the character Evie charming, but the narrative surrounding her has become incredibly robust. I like that word, robust. And I'm happy to hear that, because another thing, like honestly, Stellar Blade was absolutely carried by the gameplay and the character model, Eve. If that game did not have Eve as a character model, it would not have gotten half of the attention that it did. Let's be real here. That being said, I still very much enjoyed the gameplay and the story. That does not mean the story is a 10 out of 10. Two things can be true at the same time, and that's what it is with Stellar Blade 1. The story is kind of good in some parts, not great in other parts, but it's still enjoyable. So to have them have the character Evie have more personality and less personality, it's giving them the chance to broaden the story and give us a better experience overall, because yes, having a game with good combat, but if you can also add in a good story with a good character, it will make us even more attached to Evie and the franchise. And don't get me wrong, I would love to play another game as Eve. I would have loved to have seen what happens when she gets back to Mother Sphere, you know, like what's happening, because I feel like this game will be answering that question, but it's not going to be a direct sequel. It's not going to be like, oh, this game is happening a year from Stellar Blade 1. I feel like this is probably 100 years in the future, hundreds of years in the future. Sorry about that. We don't know as of right now where it's going, but that's what it feels like to me at the very least. How far along is development? The speed seems quite fast, given that you're already showing in-game footage at a major showcase. Development has been underway for about a year. We've kept the entire team intact, and the staff skills have improved by leaps and bounds without any wasted effort, which is how we reach this point. That said, rather than rushing to release, we intend to take our time to scale up and add depth to the game and fun narrative. It's hard to give a percentage for development progress. Some parts are well advanced, while others, like narrative or late level design, are still the design phase. We've moved past the early stages and basic framework is in place. We've decided to reveal the game now because we felt it was ready enough to show the fans who have been waiting. To me, that sounds like we're going to be getting the game probably sometime in 2028. Perhaps 2027, late 2027 if we're fortunate enough, but this definitely feels like a mid 2028, maybe even late 2028, possibly 2029, but 2029 I feel like it's pushing it. I feel like a 4-year development cycle will be enough time for them to develop this game, because I know this was a short cinematic trailer, but you can really tell that this is an evolution of the previous build. This is not a remaking. They're not building things from the ground up, and if they play their cards correctly, we could possibly, who knows, maybe see this in 2027, late 2027. What did you focus on most regarding the character design and combat style of the new protagonist Evie? We intentionally set Evie to be shorter and look a bit younger, but we work to ensure she fights in a very tough manner, exuding a cool, stylish character presence. When making the first game, I struggled with the character Eve, specifically whether to leave the character as a blank slate for player empathy or to fill her with personality. Seeing the reaction of players who finished the first game, I realized that the player can fully immerse themselves even in a character with a strong, distinct personality. So this time, we are designing Evie to have an even more defined character. And I have to fully agree with that statement. Eve, as much as I enjoyed that game, was a shell. She didn't like really have much of a personality. It kind of felt like she was a child, or I should say a machine learning to become human. So narratively speaking, her behaving the way she behaved makes complete sense. But I would love to see a game from the Stellar Blade franchise to have a more well-rounded character. For combat, I thought it would be very appealing to have a small statured character engaging in intense close quarter combat. I felt that using the same weapon from the previous game would make it difficult to show something entirely new, so we chose a new approach to CQC. However, various weapons with an S, including the reverse blade sword, will be expanded for logical reasons with the context, and the range of players' options will be much wider. And boy, I gotta tell you, anybody that knows me knows I'm a sucker for gauntlets. So I'm gonna be primarily using the gauntlets no matter what other options there are. And I'm also, this is a bonus for me, she is a fast character. She's not throwing haymakers left and right, because I feel like often when we get a gauntlet character, it's these big, huge, heavy hits, and I want to see a character that has gauntlets and is fast. Think DMC 4, 5, and 3 Dante, Virgil as well, that type of stuff. God hand, if you know, you know. And the fact that they're bringing in weapons, but it doesn't end at just the weapons, because they're also bringing in stances. Stances are going to have incredible depth. We're designing it to offer appeals through stance transition and combos. Boy, oh boy, I cannot express. This sounds to me like we're going to be getting a mix of Stellar Blade and maybe a little bit of Neo, right? They're bringing in the Neo stance thing. And I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I do not want them to bring stamina into the game. Please do not bring a stamina bar into this. I don't see why you would, because this game looks even faster than Stellar Blade, so it'd be crazy that they would go that route. But from what it looks like to me, because Stellar Blade was not a Souls-like in any way, shape, or form, right? The combat rotated in the same way as a Souls game, and I know it's very difficult, but that does not make it a Souls game. It is like a simplified version of a character action game. Now with Stellar Blade Bloodrain, it looks like we're going to be going full character action, and that is my favorite genre of video game.
I know! You know, I got it. I got the concept.
So I am eating well right now. Y'all do not understand how happy I am to see not only the return of one of my favorite PS5 games, but for it to be moving into a category that I love, which is character action. But that's enough about the combat for now, and let's talk about the city, right? In Stellar Blade 1, I really felt that the desert area was a bit much. We had like 2 deserts to explore, and I mean, I don't want to have to explore 1 desert. Why would you give me 2? So to have a city that is very populated like that, it kind of makes me think of Hong Kong, it makes me think of Korea, you know, Japan. And I like that because it's giving a completely different vibe than the first, and it's bringing the city to life. And according to the interview, they even said that the city itself is going to be like a protagonist. Well, the city is going to be lively, and perhaps we'll be able to go inside buildings. Most likely not every single building will be accessible, but I believe we're going to have more buildings that we can go inside and out of. That's a dumb sentence. I'm going to keep it in though. And since we're going to be in the city, one thing I'm actually really looking forward to is going to be the combat in narrow spaces. Yes, we've had so many combat encounters in wide open spaces, so to have a character that is a fist character in closed spaces, you know what it's making me think of? You know what it makes me feel? It makes me think Sifu. If I can see a Sifu game with weapons, oh, you guys don't understand. Nobody will be able to get me off my chair. They're gonna have to send in the military to get me away from my computer screen, because give me Sifu closeness of the combat and the dodging and the weaving and the shoop shoop, and then give me stellar blade mechanics with a bunch of different weapons and looking the way it do, looking good, bro, that is a recipe for success and for me to be broke. Honestly, I've been yapping for a while and I think I'm gonna end things here. So thank you for watching. Come again. I always enjoy your presence, you know. Stay for a while or for a short time. It's totally up to you. But before you leave, if you could comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, that would be fantastic. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Let's hit 500 subs.